it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Ask Engineer on this Liberation Day.
Yes.
It's me, Ladyada, the engineer, with me, Mr. Ladyada on camera control. We've got a fun-filled engineering hour coming up for you. All the latest products, news, videos, guides, and more. Stuff to take your mind off of what's going on in this world for like 50 minutes or so. Let's get right into it. What's the code? What are we going to talk about?
The code is Chiclet. 10% off native store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Chiclet gets you 10% off. We also have free stuff and, of course, free shipping and same day and more depending on what you're ordering, when, where, and how. We'll talk about the show and tell, which we just did a few minutes ago. Something we had from the desk of Ladyada, including the Great Search. We'll talk about that. We have JP's product pick of the week. We'll do that recap. We have some open source hardware news, including our tutorials and guides from the Adafruit learning system. We have some 3D printing. If there's time, we'll do a rapid render segment. We also have a speed up. We have Ion NPI, brought to you by DigiKey, of course. Infineon is the NPI new product introduction of the week this week. We have new products. We have top secret. We answer your questions. Throughout the show, we do your questions and more on Discord. Adafruit.it/Discord, discord.gg/Adafruit. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer.
Yay.
Okay,
Yay.
So Ladyada, let's start with the important things. Save some cash. And as people put things in their cart, they get free things and more.
That's right. We have the coasters for $99 or more.
Yeah.
The Cutie KB2040 for $149 or more.
Yeah,
free shipping for $199 or more. We're gonna give we're gonna have the bigger freebie soon.
Yeah, and then before 11 a.m. same day, and then here's the thing: everything's about to change too, because on the news there was the tariff announcement. There's tariffs on everything. So what we're doing is just making sure we accurately are keeping track of which things. Since it's everything and it's different rates from different places, we have to make sure all of our systems are aware of this, and then we might have to change prices and do other things, but we're probably going to have different freebie tiers and a lot of other things.
Yes.
And we'll let everybody know how it is.
I do have to warn people that there's tariffs on every country, and we import stuff from many of our friends in
there's China, there's Vietnam, there's every country. There's
Great Britain,
UK, yeah, there's
UK, Canada, Mexico, Germany, Japan. So a lot, and even the stuff that we make in the US, the components are often globally sourced. So I will warn people that there will be price increases. There's no way around it.
I think everyone knows this is coming.
So just, now's a great time to get 10% off, because I haven't increased any of the prices yet. It will be coming.
It will.
Sorry, if I'm getting taxed 45% on products from a company, that makes stuff in China or Taiwan or Vietnam, I have to add that to the cost of the goods, which gets passed to you.
And one thing that we're going to do is just have to work with the team on this. As soon as we know for sure, because sometimes the tariffs comes in and they get charged the wrong rate. It's 10% or 45%. But once we have the periodic table of elements style, this is exactly what it is. This is how much money we pay for this, the actual money going out of a bank account.
It's funny. Maybe we should add on our product page, what is the tariff that was included, so people know. It's
yeah. But I was thinking we could, have something on our site since the following day Adafruit has paid this much with tariffs, just so folks could see what's going on. We're not unique in this. We're in the same boat as everybody else.
Adafruit wasn't singled out here. It's everybody. But I'm just trying to be really transparent with our customer base.
Yeah, everyone knows.
Okay.
They're patient. They'll help us through it too.
But we'll keep making.
That's why we're gonna let everybody know.
Do the best we can.
Yeah, we're gonna let everybody know how it is. I'm feeling liberated already. Okay. So Desk of Ladyada is what we do on Sunday. It's in two parts. What did you do in part 1 on Desk of Ladyada this week?
Okay, Desk of Ladyada, I think we chatted about. I keep forgetting. I have to look up what was the item. I can never remember it. Hold on. The Great Search. 1 second.
Sometimes I put an image.
I know. If you could grab the image, that would help me, because I won't forget.
Yeah, this week I think I just put the thumbnail.
Yeah. Okay, so this week we did a lot of small board designs. I think I just reviewed updates. Sorry.
Yeah, we also had the Great Search.
Sorry, there's a lot. The PCM 5122, the CC Fixer, and then for the Great Search, I looked for a 25 watt I2S amplifier.
That's right. Okay. What I could do is I could you want me to put in a little speed up?
Yeah, just because it's like I just don't remember.
It's
it's like as soon as I finish it, I'm like I wipe it from my brain because I have to put more stuff in.
I like when I search for something and I'm like, oh, that's good information. It's something that you wrote or I wrote.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice. Okay, let's do JP's product pick of the week. We do that every single Tuesday. Product pick live inside of the product page. Discount automatically applied.
The Sparkle Motion Mini. It is an ESP32 WLED friendly NeoPixel LED driver board. One of the top features, I think, of this one is built-in I2S microphone for sound reactive projects. And what you'll see here is I've got my Sparkle Motion Mini right there. I'm going to press the user button, which turns it on. Yes, that's right, running some audio reactive software. The microphone is just kind of hanging out down there. That's where the Sparkle Motion is connected to some strips of NeoPixels. And you can see it's doing audio reactive coolness. There is my product pick of the week this week. It's the Sparkle Motion Mini.
And tomorrow, Thursday, JP's workshop 3D Hangouts is every single Wednesday. And we've got Deep Dive with Scott coming up on Friday.
He's doing all sorts of CircuitPython operating system stuff.
Speaking of
Python
on hardware news this week, do check out the newsletter at Adafruit Daily. We give a bon voyage to Jeff Epler, who's retiring, and we go into a whole bunch of Python on hardware news, including Zephyr, including a lot of projects that you've maybe seen on the blog, or you could check out the CircuitPython show, or all of the various projects that uses MicroPython, CircuitPython, and Python on things like the Raspberry Pi. But
very inspiring stuff.
The really big news on Python on hardware, at least for us this week, besides all of this stuff, and what were we up to, like 800 boards, some crazy number like that, is the new CircuitPython. .org
There's
site.
a new website.
Yeah, so we have a new website.
Should be easier.
Yeah.
More stuff. The code editor is more visible.
Yeah.
We like filter in projects so people can get inspired by what we're building.
Yeah. And you have all the things that you need from downloads, which all the boards, 601 boards are here, to all the libraries, to Blinka, 146 boards are supported, to code editor, and more.
With Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or USB, so it's like you don't even need to use the mass storage.
And you could check out our news. You could check out the awesome list, which has all of the boards, everything you could do with CircuitPython and more. Our documentation, Discord, RSS, and of course, we don't do anything weird. We don't do anything like you have to sign up or like give us any personal information. This is the open source project called CircuitPython. It lives on circuitpython.org. So good work. Thank you, everyone who's been working on this. All of this news and more can be delivered to your inbox. Every single week, Adafruit Daily. Get it. It's there. You can do it. Let's do some open source hardware news. Last week, we had the interview with the folks from OpenMV.
It was great.
And we split up that interview right from the show and tell itself.
I learned a lot about these two new processors that are used in
You were very interested in those.
Well, I mean, I want to look. He did all the research, so why should I do it? I'm not gonna. Why should I do it? This is the
benefit of open source.
So the new STM-H2 and then this other processor, which I can't remember the name, but both are AI accelerated, and they're actually taking advantage of it to be able to run YOLO on a microcontroller. It's
And
pretty
what does
amazing.
YOLO stand for people who don't know?
I have no idea, but it's basically
Is it the meme?
It's a vision model that lets you do segmentation and detect like people and cats and
Yeah.
other cats and cars and faces and like it's the object recognition
Okay.
for video that it's not going to be as good as like the very high end models, but it's running on the edge, it's running on a microcontroller, it's running at 50 milliamps or so, 30 milliamps. So pretty impressive work. They really do a lot to make the user experience really good. There's MicroPython support. They have tons of examples. When we did the Memento, I was totally inspired by OpenMV. Like I wasn't trying to replace OpenMV, but I was like, oh, they did cool stuff like QR code detection. Like let's add that too.
Yeah. And not only can you decrease the FOMO so you get your YOLO,
Yeah.
but you can participate in this.
It's you can
You can be part of the Kickstarter.
Kickstarter.
We're backers, so we changed our Kickstarter policy.
They have a good history of track record of shipping. I'm not too concerned about it. It's never a promise, but I signed up and I wouldn't have signed up if I didn't think they would deliver.
So our new policy is we'll promote or do an interview or look at the hardware, do something if we're backers. If we behind the scenes saying, you know what, I don't even want to back this thing, then like we're just not going to do it. But so far it's been Particle with the Tachyon and it's been OpenMV.
Both, again,
Python
people who have shipped hardware. It's like they've shipped hardware.
Yeah,
so.
Python powered and programmable AI cameras. Okay, speaking of Python and programmable and cameras and more, we have our Adafruit learning system, which a bunch of people and a bunch of stuff is posted up there, Ladyada. Let's go there. And what's on the big board this week?
Okay. This week, we've done more with offline data logging. Ty did a big guide about taking offline data logging for Whippersnapper, which is a no-code way to do data logging to an SD card. Liz did a great guide on a USB Eurorack power supply for testing Eurorack modules using our new TPS 65131 split plus minus 12-volt power supply. And then I think from last week, Aaron had the Love Light with our alphanumeric letter segments. And then Noah did this, and Pedro did a Bluetooth speaker that is kind of inspired by the Severance Lumon. It wasn't a speaker, it's like an intercom system. But this is a Bluetooth speaker, so you can play all your tunes for microdata refinement.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we have some playground notes and guides. This is the Media Hub, a control of media with optional Bluetooth, Rust on the Adafruit Feather RB2350
I love that.
HSTX.
I don't do Rust, but like rust it up, guys.
Yep. IoT toggle switch for Feather TFT. And no code easy ambient smart lights. We talked about that one last week. All that and more over on Playgrounds. Let's do some 3D printing. Okay, we're going to do a speed up, and then we have a rapid render since it's only coming in about 3 minutes, and I did want to show this new segment off once in a while. So we'll do the speed up and the rapid render, and then Ion MPI.
All right, welcome back to Rapid Render. This week, we're taking a look at a new tool. This week, we're taking a look at Meshy. This one is pretty feature-rich. There is the ability to, of course, generate a model with text prompts, with images, but it also allows you to generate a rigged model.
That's pretty impressive for a boxy robot.
And here it helps you set up where the head and the shoulder, the arms are, so it can lay out its joints for it. This one's a little funky in terms of where the shoulders are. They're like right on the head. But again, this is geared more towards more, like a humanoid. And here's what it's able to generate.
That
Because
is
because
impressive.
of the
Look at
way
the
the
leg.
shoulders are in the head, it is going to look a little funky.
Yeah. I like how like the torso is like a jello almost, and the head too, because it's like the head, the arms are in the head. This is kind of cool though. It's like working. It's not breaking. Maybe there's some clipping. But this.
But I like the library of motion.
All right. This is fun.
I should have searched for it, but maybe there is like a little flossing animation on there. But
That's great. Yeah, you're getting lots of clipping, but I mean, look at the animation. It's wild.
I was hoping to have like a section for painting the weights on there, so you can, sort of modify where each joint, how much of a section the joint is affecting.
Yeah, you want to constrain oh boy, what do you call it? The range of motion needs to be limited, to the model, like where
to each joint into each section that it's controlling. But here you can see, visualize where the bones that it generated along with its
like the skeleton.
joints. So I would still bring it into Blender and adjust how much each joint is being affected. But this looks like it's something that they could do with another update.
Cool. No, this is really cool.
A lot more features.
Rigging a character like this is so like, I don't know, like Apple-esque almost, where like simplified such a complicated thing.
This is definitely good as a inspiration.
Yeah, I'm inspired.
I mean, we could go just looking at it, recreate this inside Fusion.
Yeah, exactly. And you have the benefit of rotating around and seeing under it and behind it. It's really cool. I like that as a jumping off point to get inspired. I'm liking this. Meshy.ai. You'll find the link in the descriptions and everywhere. Cool. All right, that's this week's Rapid Render. Exciting.
Okay, don't forget the code is Chicklet, 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. and you get free stuff. And if you check out before 11 a.m. and you're in New York City, you get same day. Ladyada, let's go to some,
NPI.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
On NPI.
Hi, on NPI, brought to you by DigiKey. This week it's Infineon. Ladyada, what is the new product introduction of the week this week?
Okay, this week we're looking at the PSOC C3 series from Infineon. DigiKey actually sent this over and said, check this out. And I was like, oh, this is a kind of an interesting chip. Ironically, this morning somebody emailed and said like, hey, I want something that will let me do like millisecond precision analysis of motors, because they were building like a lock cracker for combination locks. And they were like, oh, I want to know like exactly how much current and voltage the motor is using. And I was like, well, we don't really have anything that do that, but this chip could do it. To the PSOC control series is and PSOC, that's actually like, what does it stand for? Programmable system on a chip. It's a microcontroller, but also has like the extras. As I mentioned before, a lot of companies are making chips with ARM cores, especially, or RISC-V cores, and they just kind of lay on the extras, right? So you've got like the basics, but then whatever is their special sauce is what gets added, so that you get to take advantage of the SimSys libraries and the compilers and the tool chains that you know and love for the ARM Cortex, but you get something special that other chips don't. So in this case, it's an ARM Cortex M33. As we mentioned last week, this is the ARM v8 process, which is an improvement on the ARM M3, which is like ancient now, and the ARM 4, which is not as ancient, but also a little bit long in the tooth. The M33 basically has better power capability, trust zone, and some better memory. I think it was better memory management, but or matrix management than the M4 at the same speeds, and definitely better efficiency than the M3. So what's added in the PSOC control series is really excellent motor control peripherals, which we'll go through, but very high speed ADC, a thing called the Cordic accelerator, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I'm trying to think, and then it was the motif connector, which module, which lets you manage the PWM and timer capture of encoders. So this comes in 2 series. The entry line basically, I think was it like a 6 mega samples per second ADC, 12 bits, and it doesn't have, I think, CAN bus. And it doesn't have the motif capability, but it does have almost everything else. And then the main line, there's also going to be a performance line, although the performance line hasn't been announced yet. The biggest change I can tell with the performance line is, I think it had like an extra couple timers. It has a 12 mega samples per second ADC. So basically, if you're trying to measure the current and voltage usage of your BLDC motors that are connected to this, or your DC motors, you'll be able to do that with like extremely high precision. You don't need an external motor control chip. You can actually kind of do everything on hand. Oh, it's also a little bit faster. Yes, this is the difference. The main line is 180 megahertz Cortex. The C3 is 100. The analog only goes to 6 mega samples per second on the Control 3 and entry, and 12 megabit on the main line. The timers are the same. There's high resolution PWM on the main line, and it's available in 80 pin TQFP, TQFN. So that's like the main difference. And like I said, performance line is coming out later in the year. So if you look at it, like I said, it's got that basic CPU subsystem. So you're going to have stuff like, I2C, UART. You got the FPU and the M33, which is going to be really handy. Up to 256K of flash, I think up to 64K of 32K of RAM. I don't remember how much RAM there was in. There's a couple of variants. There's also versions that have CAN bus, and then those, the sleep management, trust zone, PWM, etc. And then of course the extras. So one of the extras, which I thought was kind of neat, is this thing called the Cordic. So a lot of times when you're doing motor stuff, and we've chatted about this when we talk about stepper motors in particular, but also, of course, this matters when you're doing BLDCs, is you often have a lot of sine waves that you're dealing with. You're writing a sine wave to the motor because you want to have this smooth motion, or you're reading sine waves, or you're whatever, doing trigonometry to try to figure out the intercept. And even with an FPU, trigonometry calculations are really annoying unless you have a table, but you don't necessarily want to have a gigantic table, especially if you're doing like very high speed, this 12 megasamples per second ADC. You want to be able to do the trig almost instantly to determine what angle you've got based on the voltage, right? Or like where you are in the sine wave curve. The Cordic processors is, I guess as long as your ARM compiler knows about it, it will automatically improve the performance of your sine, cosine, arctan, inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse arctan, phase, square root, and Park transform. So it'll definitely make your built-in math that you're doing to do motor motion calculations much, much faster, because like those sine and cosines calculations, they have to be done by hand, but not done by hand, but it's done by approximation. It's not like a single multiply or even a divide on your FPU. Next, they've got really killer PWM. So I remember I was talking to an engineer a long time ago, but at Mega Series, and they're like, man, there's only like 2 or 3 timers. This really sucks. This one has 32-bit 4-channel, and I think like 16 channels of 12 channels of 16-bit, just like a massive amount of PWM available, which is going to be really handy because motors love PWM to do control. And of course, you can use it for other voltage controlled stuff by putting an RC filter on it. And then there's also a thing called the motif interface. Like I said, this is for the the main line rather than the low cost entry line. And the motif is basically what you would connect your Hall sensor or quadrature encoder as like your mechanical feedback for the motor, not just like the back EMF feedback. And the timers are not only output, but of course they're also input capture. It'll handle the input capture for you, and it's designed specifically for high-speed motor control. Okay. Next up, there's a lot of variants. Okay, can you make this bigger because I want to read this. So, right, there's like a big combination of different whatever sets. This is actually just the value line. You can get 128 or 256 flash. All the value line versions are 6 megasamples per second. Some have 12 channels, some have 18 channel. Some have the Cordic, some don't. The ones that have Cordic also have motifs. So I guess those are maybe the ones that don't are ones not necessarily for motor control. They have plenty of peripherals, and some of them also have CAN, which is going to be handy because a lot of times, if you're doing motor control, you're going to also be connected up to a robotics subsystem. I like that they're available in the QFN and QFP. Those are my favorite packages. They're compact, easy to solder, so it reduces your manufacturing cost. You have to deal with some 90.4 millimeter BGA. Get started quickly. There's a couple of eval boards. Has an Arduino format, kind of Shield compatibility, has the debugger built in, has an SWD connector, there's like a trim pot even, and a micro bus connector so you can connect accessories to it. And I think I have another picture of it this is from the top. So you can see there's a debug interface and then the chip in the middle. So you can use USB to program it. And it's like only $50. So I actually kind of recommend getting the eval board to get started. There's a CAN connector, and then you can wire up your motor controller. You'll need it doesn't have a motor driver built in because you're going to probably want like your H-bridge or MOSFET driver, whatever that you're using, connect it up separately, but you could just plug that in on the Shield or all the extra pins that are available. And the chips are in stock. I picked one. Again, there is eval boards and there's tons of variants. But I think if you're making a product that has a motor built in and you don't want to have a separate motor controller because it can be expensive, it can be $2 or $3. This chip is only a couple bucks and you can do everything all on one chip, and you still have your button controller, LCD, potentiometers, CAN bus. It kind of does everything all in once. So it's kind of a good, it doesn't have native USB, but it has kind of everything you need to do your robotics and motor and, mechanical control. And you don't need to have a separate processor. So it's very compact and easy to use. And again, that 12 megasample per second ADC, you're not going to get that anywhere else. I haven't seen anything that can do that high quality of analog reads. So if you're feeling trapped by your microcontroller because you're I just can't push that much data analysis, the Cordic processor, the motif, and the ADCs in this could be a real game changer for you.
That's on NPI.
On NPI.
Alrighty, before we go over to new products, don't forget Chiclet is a code, 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. There are free things available and more. Ladyada, let's go over to new products. New.
Okay. This is an updated product, but it's new enough I kind of bumped to the top. So we used to carry a Chiclet keyboard. The company went out of business. I've been meaning to get a replacement, and I finally did. And it's a really great replacement. This is a USB keyboard. I use this with single board computers. But you can also use it with microcontrollers that have USB host. It is an everyday USB keyboard. Things I like about it. It has arrow keys, which not all mini keyboards have. The backspace isn't too bad. There's an escape key. There's function keys. It's very compact. It's 12 inches by 4.5 inches.
Tiniest full-featured
and
keyboard.
And it feels good. The keys feel good. Is it a daily keyboard? Maybe not. But once I'm debugging, something, or if I want to make
single board computers.
Single board computers or microcontrollers, It's great and it's very compact and slow.
Here's the thing. I'll just break it down. You don't want your giant computer plugged into the single board computer. It looks ridiculous.
Your giant
We
keyboard,
all
yeah.
know. We all know it does.
You don't need a numpad.
It's like black socks and slippers and shorts. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Okay. Okay. Next up, this SNES-like USB game controller. We're going to be using this in a couple of projects, and so I wanted to get it in stock. It's a USB connector game controller. It looks like an SNES controller. Obviously, it's not. It's just compatible. But what I like is it's got the shoulder buttons, the D-pad, you have the select and start, and then A, B, X, Y. So it's really good for playing retro games, either like Nintendo Classic or Sega or Super Nintendo, or you could just use it as your general purpose gaming interface. It will work with like RetroPie on the Raspberry Pi. In this case, I think our photo team just downloaded a emulator and just decided to play Donkey Kong Jr., which is cool. It does show up as a gamepad, not a keyboard or mouse, so just be aware of that. Yeah. If you don't have gamepad support in your software, you'll have to read the HID commands to get all the button presses.
Okie dokie, next up.
Okay, we have a couple of pre-assembled versions of breakouts that people have been asking for. So this is the Stemma QT to ANO rotary encoder. It's a iPod-like rotary encoder with a button in the middle. And we had this where you would have to solder on the encoder yourself. And some people were like, I want something plug and play ready to go. This is now plug and play ready to go. The encoder comes soldered on already for you. You just plug it in over I2C and you can make your own cool iPod-esque interface.
Okay. Speaking of, there's more.
And then this is the plain breakout. So this is the QT. So keep going.
Oh yeah, that was the other one. Sorry.
That's a demo for it. This is the breakout that does not have I2C. It's like a bare breakout, so it's a lot less expensive. But a lot of microcontrollers have built-in encoder support. So there's 5 switches, up, down, left, right, center, and then the rotary encoder center wheel. So now you can go to the demo video.
Yeah, I made 2 mistakes in the show tonight. One was a sound file I put in the wrong slide, and then this one.
Yeah, so you can see, you can rotate it around. Okay, so now they just come with the encoder pre-soldered. So if you don't want to have to do the work, you don't have to.
Okay, next up.
Another WFL variant. This time it's of the ESP32 S2 reverse TFT, a popular board. So people are like, I want to mount this somewhere and I don't want the antenna in the way. I want to have an external antenna. This one has a WFL connector. It's not UFL. It's WFL. It's slightly different. It does not fit UFL. We have a WFL to RPSMA adapter in the store, or maybe you have one already, plug it in, and now you can mount your antenna externally. Again, great for if you want to have it in an enclosure or you want to have better gain on the antenna. You use a bigger antenna, you're going to be able to reach farther.
Okay, next up.
Okay, next up, we have another fully assembled board. This time it's the 128 by 64 OLED Featherwing. Really popular. It's a nice big display, uses the SH1107, has a Stemma QT port on it. It's a Featherwing that you would plug into any of our boards, and over I2C you can display beautiful black and white graphics. And I worked with Arduino and CircuitPython, and now it comes with the header pre-soldered on, so it's even easier to use.
Yeah, people are using our products to show them off and get millions in funding because our stuff looks so awesome. It looks unreal. Okay.
And start the show.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. We don't
have a star, but this is the Pico 2W. So if you like the Pico 2W, comes with headers. This is the RP2350 chip with the debug connector. It's got the RM2 module, their Broadcom chip, with FCC and C certification, micro USB, 4 megabytes of flash, the buck converter, the boot button, the no labels for pins on the top. I guess you have to look on the bottom. Now comes with headers pre-attached. So if you want to use this quickly and easily without having to do any soldering, you can now have a Wi-Fi connected microcontroller ready to go with headers, plugs into a breadboard. Or what I really like is it plugs into a 40-pin socket too. So if you have one of those old school dip 40-pin sockets, this will fit quite nicely on it.
Okay, and that is new products.
Yay! New.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the questions and then do some top secret. Before that, we have some questions from the chat. We got some questions we line up. Let's do the top secret first. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, just one this week. What's this?
Okay, this is RP2350 Bones. Oh wait, this is the...
That's what you sent me.
Oh, I sent you the wrong file.
Oh, did you?
Oops. Yeah, sorry.
What was it supposed to be?
It's supposed to be the RP2350, but this is the RP2040, which you can barely tell, but I can.
Okay,
it's in the
I won't
inductor.
post this.
So pretend, I'll send you the right. I think because I was comparing them.
Yeah.
Pretend this is an RP2350 chip. So we have the bones that we did for the 2040, and that let us make like all these variants because we basically had everything on the left side the same, and then the stuff over here changed. So I basically did the same for the RP2350, and it's not quite as much space, but it's very, very close. And I might change the inductor to be an LDO because the inductor is actually kind of big. And I'm like not convinced it gives you a lot of power saving. I mean, like if you're connecting it to a DVI display, you're not looking for power savings. So so there's going to be because now the RP2350 is available in like quantity. If you guys remember last week's INPI, we covered that. It's like you can now buy chips in the thousands for like 80 cents a piece. So what do you want to see RP2350 feathers? Like we're going to do the Ada logger one and then like a DVI and USB host. But is there other stuff that you guys want to see? I don't know, post comments and we'll try to get to all of them.
Okay.
These chips, it's all red and blue. It looks so similar.
That was top secret. Okie dokie. We're going to roll right into questions, Ladyada.
Yep.
Questions.
Okay, first one. Can you read that off while I get these other ones?
Does it also inhibit any data transfer for some bright red USB-A adapters? Its only purpose is to ensure that charging can take place, no snooping or malware. Oh, this is for the CC fixer. No, in this particular case, the design I made does let the data lines through because 99% of the time that's what people want. But I could make a version that doesn't have the data lines and just has the CC pins. It's possible.
This is from the Mac stuff that we were doing from Fruit Jam. Will this be on DigiKey? Yes.
They love carrying our stuff, so I'm sure it will be on DigiKey.
Next up, this is also from our new product show from a couple weeks ago. They want a micro WFL to WFL adapter.
I've never seen micro WFL. I'm kind of terrified that something could be even smaller than WFL. I'd actually check DigiKey for an adapter.
Mini
you know, if they have something. But I probably not. Like you'd probably do micro WFL to SMA to reverse SMA, or the opposite connection SMA to WFL, because like there's usually not WFL is a surface mount connector.
Okay. Will it vibrate if I apply direct voltage to it? This is the timing crystal teardown from Colin's lab from a while ago.
You usually don't connect just a voltage to it. Sometimes there's oscillators that you do power, but usually you have to kind of kick it with like a pulse, and then the feedback is the frequency you want. So usually I think you feed it with an AC and then you get back an AC signal, but it's like crystalline.
Okie dokie. And let's do the questions from the chat. The first question we're going to do is going to be a faster one, then I'll go to a longer one. The SNES like controller, can you use it with a RP2040 USB host?
You can. It'll be an HID device, and I think Tim C. Foamy Guy has written some code to interface to it.
Okay.
If not, he will soon. But it's not a keyboard or a mouse.
All right.
It's a gamepad.
Is it cost prohibitive to have different colors of PCB boards for Fruit Jam? Could we have different flavors like the early iMacs? Yeah, we could do it, but I'll tell you what.
You can do it.
Here's what we're probably going to do. We're going to make sure all the changes and updates and any fixes we want to the board are like done. And we have like probably a revision. And then we might do like a limited edition ones where maybe each one might be doing something slightly different, or maybe it'll have a different boot up ROM. Who knows?
Yeah.
Next up, they're designing a circuit that incorporates an MCU that's capable of BLE and integrating battery charges circuit. They want the microcontroller to be able to turn on a device via Bluetooth by pulling a pin from high plus to something like a TPS 61023 or a 63070, which outputs 5 volts to the other side. I noticed that both of those buck boost converter data sheets, the EMF is a concern since this device uses Bluetooth. What things should I pay close attention to when integrating the boosted power supply circuit?
I mean, keep it far away from the antenna. It shouldn't be too big of a deal because, use a shielded inductor, keep it far away, make sure you have a nice big ground plane. People have mixed boost converters and wireless. If you're using like a Nordic chip, those are like so reliable. I think make sure you're powering the wireless chip with a very clean power supply and it can like control this boost converter, but the boost converter isn't actually feeding the wireless chip.
Okay. With everything going on, how difficult or good or bad of an idea do you think it'd be to start a business that requires manufacturing a product that I need to manufacture custom circuit boards for that product? Is there any concerns you might suggest the new business to watch out for and try to prevent or plan for? Yeah.
You cannot plan shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the famous phrase is everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's a Mike Tyson quote that's on t-shirts and stuff. So here's what I would say. Believe it or not, this is now the best time to do things because you're going to come across almost every challenge that you will need to come up with and defeat in a business. But getting things sent to you that's a circuit board is extremely fast. And this is probably one of the first times in history that you can quickly test and see if this idea is going to sustain you as a business.
Yeah.
So with services like JLC PCB and with all of the resources out there, I would say optimize for time, not money right now. Just do something very fast and good and see if there's a market before you invest a whole bunch of time and resources. So that's the best thing about right now, but also probably the scariest thing because if this isn't going to work out, you have to move fast on to something else because ain't no easy times at the moment. Questions for you want to see an RP2350? How about one with a screen and rotary navigation encoder, kind of like a PyPortal? Okay, and then RP2350 feather with built-in just ADC deck with 3.5 millimeters out. Got that one.
Okay.
And then let's go see if there's any other ones. Oh, the other person looks like you got it. They wanted to integrate an external one with a battery connected in parallel. Okay, so it looks like you got to it. Those are all of the questions, Ladyada. Congratulations, you did it.
Yay!
Oh, any chance of an ADA box before the return of tariffs? No, because tariffs are tonight.
They already happened
It's
tonight.
Liberation Day.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, one last one. We'll sneak it into the last second here. Another question with the Sparkle Motion has 2 pin levels shifted up to 5 volts output. Can you make a generic ASP32 board with a few pins that can tolerate 5 volts? I know there are voltage dividers.
I mean, it's not a common request, to be honest. I usually just tell people, hey, just use a level shifter in because how many pins do you need? And level shifters are they add finickiness. Like you don't want to add them unless you need them. Especially in incoming ones. Like a resistor divider adds load, which you don't always want.
Okay, don't forget to code Chiclet. 10% off in Adafruit store. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. This has been an Adafruit production. Here is your moment of Zener. We're out here a little early tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Check out this cool. What's this blender? What is this?
Yeah.
No, this was
no,
Kai's.
Yeah, no,
Kai's Power Tools?
I think so.
Sweet.
Moment of Zener.
Good night.
Okay, now I'm going to go back to